So any development site is going to come with its challenges. What are some of the challenges that you've faced here?
I think there have been a number. I think this has been a very steep learning curve. The first challenge came very soon when we realised that we couldn't submit a planning application until we'd done a BAT survey, and we'd missed the window for a BAT survey. So we had to wait and do a BAT survey all the following summer, which delayed our first planning application. We put in a change of use on the original building, but we couldn't put in the full application until after the BAT survey, which meant that we straight away we had nearly a year delay in getting the BAT survey done. And we did the BAT survey. We employed a consultant who came and camped overnight and looked for bats all summer, and he didn't find a single bat. So we'd lost 12 months doing a bat survey, and we didn't actually find any bats. But then we were able to put in our full planning application, complete with a bat survey.
And that's not the only planning obstacle, because Antony, you've got greenbelt as an issue.
Yeah, we had at the time that Yvonne's talking about, we had obviously the fact that the site is in the greenbelt, and of course benefits from that, but likewise there is very significant planning restrictions. So we spent an enormous amount of time at feasibility stage establishing the best parameters for the use of the planning allowances we were going to be given. So the main original house, we had an allowance to extend it by a certain amount of percentage of its volume, and then the replacement buildings for the various buildings from the previous uses, they in turn created a volume that we could recreate. So there was really complicated volumetric exercises we had to do to establish our accommodation. And beyond all of that, of course, along with all development sites, but even more so the Greenbelt, deeper ecological surveys, really, really stringent tree surveys. And as we found on this site with the tree surveys, because of the original use, and part of the beauty of the site is that it is almost like it's set in an arboretum. So there is quite literally one or two specimens of each type of tree, and there is quite literally hundreds. The arboriculturalist that we employed had never had so much variation in a survey. But that's part of the beauty of the site.
And you were trying your best to try and retain as much of that as possible with the development, so that once the residents move in, they've got the benefit of these mature grounds.
Absolutely. As part of the process since we've been on site, we have a woodland to the northern area and a woodland to the southern area. We've gradually worked through a series of tree exercises, clearing, self-setting, tree management, to get those intact and in place before, so we've got the maturity at day one. And in truth, our landscaping strategy for the finished scheme doesn't have to be that elaborate, because it's already here and it's already 50, 100 years old and very beautiful.
Which again, money can't buy that sort of growth over time. So that's fabulous. Any other challenges that you faced?
Other than obviously the design challenges of working with a substantial existing historic building, and the strategy that we were pushing and pulling with regard to how best to add the between 30 and 40% of volume onto it, usual challenges of levels of just the whole plugging a new extension into the existing building and keeping things logical, and making sure that we got the perfect composition of main house extension, and then the ancillary building working with the external works. So the design process was lengthy, and we did spend a lot of time here that was early in the morning, late in the evening, because the only way you can design this site properly is to spend an enormous amount of time here. And I hope that the end product bears that fruit.
The reflection of the time that you spent understanding absolutely what's on offer before you actually finalise the vision.
It's understanding the way the site feels.
So in terms of the balance between retaining the character of an old building but creating a modern functional home for the residents, how do you make it fit?
It's about balance. It's about balance. The building is the volumes and shapes and spaces of the building are giving us the canvas to do the other elements that we're doing. So we've had to be really careful in the big open plan spaces with the introductions that we're adding. A lot of what we've done to the building is restoration, but some of the additions that we've added in, kitchens, bathrooms, etc., they've had to be really carefully planned. So we're balancing the traditional and the contemporary. But as you've touched on, wherever we go, we find things as we unearth things. So take a piece of plasterboard out and you think, well, I didn't know that was going to be behind there. So we've had to have a very adaptable builder. We've had to be very hands-on. So spend a lot of time on site dealing with things as they crop up. So at the early stage of the project, we did an extensive strip out and started to look at where we got things. But it really is the ability to find solutions quickly and efficiently as they crop up.
So I've been on site walking around and I've seen evidence of this where you've stripped things back, and Yvonne, you've said, I love that, retain that, and it might be a cheaper and more affordable solution to patch it over and then plaster, but actually you've wanted to strip back, restore it. I mean, there's a beautiful feature not far from where we are here. And again, you were saying straight away that'd be beautiful. You've got this semicircle moulding across the top and we can put some shelving in. I guess it's things like that.
Yes, it's the beauty of a house or a property like this, and each apartment will have its own unique features because the things vary from apartment to apartment, different fireplaces, very beautiful, different ceilings, different architectural features, and each will be a canvas for really whatever furnishings people like, whether it's contemporary furniture, classic country house furniture, or even something grander. They will all lend themselves to whatever furnishing people want. The spaces are generous and heights of ceiling are great. So in keeping the traditional features, we brought that there is a quality about it all, and Antony's done a good job of restoring and interpreting all the spaces very, very well.
I think what Yvonne said there is important, that there will be a character, but there will be a lot of difference. So when you move around the property, if you go into your neighbour's property, there will be a difference. Particularly as we're upstairs now, the first floor with the vaults is very different to the ground floor.
So each space has got its own identity.
Yeah,
it's not like a conventional modern block where it's pretty much a mirror image on every single floor. They've got their own identity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've got history, so that's important.
And we've been, we are very detail focused. So junctions and details and the finer points of it are all the most important part. So the way that things transition between finishes, surfaces, light, shade, the control of lighting, etc., is all very, very carefully thought through.